All right, guys, what is going on? Welcome to the fourth episode of Two Bros, Two Brews. And this week we are going to break down Avengers Endgame because previously we just did an episode talking about like some of our theories, and this was what the week of seeing it. It was a couple days before we filmed it on a Saturday, I think, and It came out that following Thursday. So it was a very, very, very exciting week. And here we are. We're going to break it down from beginning to end.
And Marvel just left the band that we could spoil the movie now.
Yes. So huge spoiler warning. Though I would imagine that most people have probably already seen the movie by now. Just if you haven't, please click off the video. If you have, stick with us. We're going to talk about it from literally like start to end. It might be a pretty lengthy episode. So
and if you haven't seen this movie, watch our episode 3 on our theories.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, go check out our theories and then watch the movie and then come back and listen to this because we Okay, all right. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start the spoiler warning. We did get some stuff right. We got some stuff right. We both got some stuff right, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start breaking down the Avengers from beginning to end. Something that was really cool in the beginning, and the Russo brothers were mainly right when they said a lot of the footage in the trailer was from the beginning of the movie. Some of it was from the end. Some of it was from the beginning, or most of it was from the beginning. Yeah. And I honestly can't really think of a whole lot that was actually fake footage. I would have to go back and look.
But also, when we look at the trailer, they kind of trick us. Like, we thought it was going to be like time jumps. That wasn't the case. It was actually...
I mean, there were some time jumps.
But it was just 5 years ahead of in the future.
Yeah.
But, we thought there's going to be like someone go back in time.
Right.
Oh, we screw up.
Right, yeah.
But it didn't do that case. So it was a nice trick on the Russo brothers' sleeves.
So something I wanted to start with is a peek back to what started the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Iron Man. There's a scene where he is working on his Mark 1 armor. I think it's the Mark 1 armor.
Yes.
And they pretty much replicate the scene in Endgame where Tony and Nebula are working on the ship before it becomes, as Tony says, dead in the water. Yeah. So that was a pretty amazing scene there. Pretty cool. Lots of fan service there.
Yeah.
And then the saving of Tony Stark.
Yes.
I haven't heard a whole lot of complaints about that, but the more I think about it, and I'm not complaining about it.
Yeah.
I absolutely fell in love with this movie. I thought it was fantastic. It was a wonderful a wonderful ending to some beloved characters, but really like a huge beloved storyline. Because if you think about it, for the last 10 years, we have only ever known stuff about the Infinity Stones. We don't know anything else outside of that.
Yeah, and the actors who play these Marvel characters, they did a fantastic job.
Oh yeah, they truly did.
A nice touch, especially with Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Ruffalo as Hawkman. I mean, as the Hawk.
Yeah.
It's incredible how much work they put into this.
Right.
They didn't have to. They could have taken a paycheck, but they put a lot of heart.
They make a ridiculous amount of money, but you're right. I mean, like they did put a lot into the character, and they themselves, I feel like, truly fell in love with who they were playing and so on.
And the shows, like when you see the red carpet, they were totally enjoying of their Marvel status. It's just incredible. And the Endgame represents all that, like how much the past 11 years, how much they put all these 22 films to come into this final movie,
right.
So it was beautiful, I gotta say.
So back to the saving of Tony Stark. Where exactly did Captain Marvel come from, and how did she find them? Now, we had known that before, that Captain Marvel was already kind of like on Earth. Mm-hmm. She had been with the remaining Avengers for quite some time now. I would imagine probably quite some time, or at least like a week. And we do know that Tony was sending off a lot of messages.
Yes.
He was like, I don't know if you're going to get these. I don't know if you're ever going to see them. We would probably think that, there was some kind of like SOS, like help us, please, because they don't just want to be dead in the water.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that Captain Marvel is probably flying around trying to find the signal because, she has been dealing with a huge cosmic like, I don't know, a vast universe outside of what we have already seen. So she probably has technology or knows of technology that probably found them.
Yeah.
And brought them back.
Yeah.
So I'm not too upset about that. I thought that was a nice touch. I think it's kind of weird how, like, and I'm not gonna question this. I'm really not, because Captain Marvel maybe like did something to power their ship again.
Yeah.
But if they're running out of oxygen, how fast do you think she flies? Or more or less, how close do you think they were to Earth?
Yeah.
Because he was probably minutes away from death, and she's like, "Oh, let me fly back in like 5 seconds."
Yeah. Who knows? She might have the speed of light. Who knows?
I mean, yeah, and then Tony would have been dead by the time he got home from that trip. I think that probably what happened is she found a way to charge up the batteries again, or use a little bit of her power to charge the batteries, because I don't know why she wouldn't. Yeah. I mean, she got her powers from an engine, for God's sake.
Yeah. Yeah, she's pure recycled energy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But that ship scene, you know, with, you know, Tony Stark, you know, sending out messages and all that. I just like each of that scene, like how fragile it's becoming, you know, because of the lack of food.
Oh, how much like shit he looks like. He looks terrible. I was actually going to get to that. Yeah. He looks so bad.
Yeah, and it shows like how long he was stranded in space. It was just.
I thought it looked really good, because it kind of looked like if Robert Downey Jr. never got the Iron Man role and continued his ridiculous alcohol and cocaine use.
Yeah. You know, especially when they return Earth, you know, he was on a wheelchair with Ivy. Yeah. God, he
looked bad.
That was great CG, you know. That looked so real, you know.
CG. I mean, it honestly just could have been makeup. I mean, people have starved. Look at Christian Bale. He starved himself. Did Robert Downey Jr. starve himself? Probably not. Yeah. But really good special effects on that end. And that actually leads me to the next thing I wanted to talk about, was Tony's grudge. He held a grudge from Age of Ultron. Yes. And I thought that was great, because what he saw, like his visions, the visions in Age of Ultron, it played into this movie way more than I ever thought it could have. You know, like a suit of armor on the world. I thought that just kind of defined Tony as a character. You know, he was never going to rest until he knew for a fact that people were going to be safe. Yeah. But he quite literally wanted a suit around the world. Mm-hmm. And he told Cap, he's like, remember when we needed that suit around the world? Like, we needed it. Yeah. And he's like, when you said, when we lose, we'll do that together too. Well, guess what? You weren't there. Yeah. So he's hurt, man. Like, he's really hurt. They lost apart, you know. They weren't together. They didn't go out together. Yeah. This was a truly devastating thing that happened to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, what happened in that movie tore apart these characters so bad. Mm. And you know, Tony meant well the whole time, aside from the fact that he made a superbot that literally wanted to kill like the entire human race. Yeah. He meant well.
Yeah. And you know, it's like I rewatched that movie before I saw the Avengers. Right. I mean the Endgame. Yeah. And good thing I did, because there was so much connections from Age of Ultron and up to the Civil War, you know.
Yeah. The people who decided to rewatch all the movies before going to see Endgame made a good decision, because there's so much that actually plays into Endgame. Mm-hmm. Not even it doesn't even play into Infinity War. Yeah. It plays into Endgame. Mm-hmm. And I just thought it was absolutely crazy. A lot of visions, and some of them we'll talk about later on. Yeah. Because I know there's one you're dying to talk about. But we'll talk about that later on. Yeah. Age of Ultron really set up kind of like this whole overall team character arc.
Yeah. The start of the team degenerates slowly. And
it died. Like, they died on their way out. You know, like the team just like went straight down basically after Age of Ultron. Yeah. And we knew, despite the fact that Age of Ultron had a semi-happy ending, it was not good.
Yeah. You know, Hulk disappeared for a while, you know? Yeah. So
we could tell it was like the beginning of a downfall.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the scene when Captain Marvel was bringing the ship back. Okay. Remember we talked about the missing piece on that trailer in the last episode, like the empty space?
It was an empty space.
Yes. And now we know why, because the shot was Pepper, you know?
Well, yeah, it was Pepper, but I've seen it 3 times, and I know that's a lot. That is a lot to see a movie. I have seen it 3 times. But so basically what I figured out was that the space was there in the actual movie itself, right?
Yes.
Like the space was there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's basically, it's just cinematography. It is filled in by Pepper, who is already ahead of them.
Yeah.
So there is a space.
Yeah.
But it's filled in by Pepper's head. Like
Yeah.
a close up of Pepper takes that spot. So yeah. It wasn't really faked footage. They just, it was weird, but it was just cinematography.
Yeah, it was kind of fun because we have so much theory about the empty space. Like,
we didn't know who it was going to be. It could have been Captain Marvel.
It's like, wow, it was a time jump, you know?
Right. But no, yeah, it was just some cinematography work, and we figured out who it was. In the end. But
yeah, just seeing like when he landed that ship down in front of the Avengers headquarters, you know, seeing Tony Stark being frail and all that. Yeah, the first person to hug him out was Pepper. You know, it was a.
And despite the fact that like everything they've been through, Cap comes up and was like helping him, and he's like, you know. Yeah. I lost a kid, and he goes, "We all did," and that sucks. That was absolutely terrible.
And that scene not that scene, but that, you know, losing a kid. You know, Spider-Man plays a big role. Peter Parker takes it.
Tony Stark is kind of like the Uncle Ben for Peter.
Yeah.
Since we never like officially got an Uncle Ben, Tony is like the Uncle Ben. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's neat. Then we have the whole now they're, you know, Iron Man looks like shit.
Mm-hmm.
They're in there, they're trying to figure out, okay, so 2 days ago he used the stones again.
Yes.
And Rocket, Nebula, they have this kind of technology to where they can figure out, you know, trace down the energy source.
Yeah.
And suddenly Captain Marvel was like, well, before you didn't have me. And okay, I'm gonna be honest, man, I don't like her boasting, like her whole like, oh, I'm better than everyone else attitude.
Yeah, and War Machine like,
he's like, hold on a sec.
What were you?
Yeah, so like Captain Marvel, she's not a terrible character, and in fact, I liked her way more in Endgame because she did less. She did not do as much. Yeah, hit me with the hurtful comments. I don't care. I think she's an absolute bland, like she's a bland character. I don't feel like she had any. Okay, aside from the fact of me ranting about Captain Marvel.
Well, no, hang on. Let's break it down just a little bit. Are you criticizing on the actress
No,
or
I'm not
the
criticizing.
Character?
I criticize Brie Larson because she acts like she's the only one in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I think she's fine. I think she's fine. Mm. She kind of had a big head for a while because people loved Captain Marvel, but the thing that got me was that like the fans did not love Captain Marvel. Yeah. Random people loved Captain Marvel. People who haven't watched any other thing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe loved Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
and I guess that kind of would upset me, but also the character of Captain Marvel herself was written so poorly. Mm-hmm. The movie was fine. The movie was okay. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna watch it again when it comes out. It was a fine movie, but I think her character development in that movie was absolutely horrible.
Yeah, it sounds like she has a big ego, doesn't care about the team,
and she has that ego immediately right off the start.
Yeah.
It is one thing for Tony Stark, who is known to be like that, to have that ego, but it's also Robert Downey Jr. He is a multi-billionaire playboy philanthropist, like he says in all of his movies. He has a reason to be that way.
Yeah.
She is a Kree who barely knows how to use her powers and is being pretty much enslaved by Central Intelligence.
Yeah.
And suddenly she takes off this chip from the back of her neck and she's fine. And she's this wonderful, like, super, super powerful person who can apparently do nothing but punch through ships.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to her character that they didn't touch on, and that kind of upsets me.
Yeah.
I don't think she's bad. I don't hate her, but she had awful character development.
Yeah.
And she is not as good as what everyone thinks she is.
Yeah. People thought she's gonna have a big role in the Endgame.
People wanted her to have a big role in Endgame.
But people forget there's Black Widow. You know, she's a hero that doesn't have superpowers, and she kicks ass
well, of course,
more than Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah, absolutely. She deserves to.
Yeah, people keep forgetting about that.
Right.
You know, but anyway, back on that meeting.
So after that meeting, they figure out. Okay, so here's where he is. He's at a place called the Garden, which is like a biblical reference.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna dive in that whole thing. You can go figure it out yourself. But it is a biblical reference.
Yes.
They all go there, right? They go to space for their first time.
Mm-hmm.
And Thanos is making breakfast, and suddenly he looks up and bam, they're all right there. And I think like, and he didn't see it coming. Definitely, his destiny was fulfilled, and he totally could have won that battle.
Yeah.
Against all of them, because we saw how much raw power he actually has without the gauntlet.
Yes.
In the final battle,
Mm-hmm.
I think that he could have won that battle,
Mm-hmm.
but his destiny was fulfilled.
Yeah.
So he had no reason to.
Yeah. And his armor was all messed up too.
Well, okay, yeah, his arm was messed up, but I don't think that would have stopped him.
No, but I think it's just like you said, destiny fulfilled. Like he's just waiting to end his life, you know?
He used the stones to destroy the stones, and that nearly killed him.
Yeah.
But the job was done, and it could not be undone.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, go ahead and kill me, whatever.
Yeah.
And then Thor finally aims for the head. And this says a lot about Thor's character arc, because we've seen this evolution of Thor over time that I just think was absolutely amazing. And when we think he's at the top of his game, he's still really not, because he doesn't know who he is as a person.
Yeah.
And he feels like he's let the entire universe down by not killing not killing Thanos successfully.
Yeah.
So he kills him, despite the fact that like they didn't figure out where the stones were. I mean, obviously they were already gone.
Yeah.
The stones were non-existent. They were already gone. So he kills him, and I think that says a lot about his character.
Yeah, and that's like that scene when he killed that head. I mean, chop off the head, right? And he was like walking toward the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. To me, that was like a powerful moment. It's like.
It was a powerful moment, but it was also a very saddening.
Yeah, it's like he finally got the head, but at what cost? You know, when he cut off the head, part of him
else to do. So he lost a part of himself whenever he did that.
Yeah,
he realized like I failed, and I think him as a character, he realized, you know, killing Thanos didn't do anything for me.
Yeah,
he's dead. Everyone still feels like absolute dog shit. So,
you know, the Asgard is destroyed. His people were killed. Yeah. Loki's dead.
Yeah,
probably.
And he's not back yet. And I want to talk about Loki later, because there's a lot to be said about him actually.
But just all that dwelling, that it's like
he's lost everything and he gained nothing from killing Thanos.
You know, he didn't feel good or anything.
Right,
he's the one person from all the Avengers that could have defeated Thanos in an Infinity War. Yeah. But
and it's so moving on, I want to keep moving at a decent pace. I have a lot of notes here. It goes black after he cuts Thanos' head off.
Yeah.
And this is when the whole theater made like oh wow, the movie's over joke, because it was black. It was just a black screen for a long time. And then they go 5 years later. So 5 years later, and the possible mess ups that brings. So I'm gonna jump forward a little bit because I didn't write notes about this. It's interesting that we moved 5 years ahead, because obviously that means characters who are left alive are now 5 years older. Yeah. So this brings up a question mainly about Peter Parker and going to school, because obviously he comes back. If you've seen the movie and you're watching this, you want to have it spoiled for you. Peter Parker, he's alive. Right? We just saw the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer. Obviously, he's alive. He's mourning Tony Stark.
Yeah.
So he comes back and he goes to school, and he realizes, oh, like everyone's still here. Like a lot of people are still in school. And what messes people up is they're like, okay, so what about the other half of his class?
Yeah.
They're graduated.
Yeah, they are graduated.
But kids 5 years younger than him are now the same age, and they're going to school with him now.
Yeah.
So really, like...
How the school system's going to handle that?
Well, I mean, they're going to handle it like pretty regularly.
Yeah.
But at first I was like, well, how does that affect people in going to school and stuff? And then I just went, oh, okay, it's basic, and we're overthinking it too much. They are the same age whenever they come back, whenever they're resurrected,
Yeah.
but also kids who are 5 years younger who survived are now 5 years older and are going to school with Peter because they are now the same age. And that, has a chance to introduce new characters.
Yes.
AKA maybe some Gwen Stacy. Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyways, that's just something I wanted to tie up. 5 years later, here we are. The world is
Cleaner. No pollution in the ocean.
cleaner, yes, but also looks absolutely terrible.
Yes.
And somehow they got Scott Lang's van. Like everything is in like a storage unit.
Yeah. That's from the rooftop.
Yeah. A rat saved the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They saved the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
They should make a poster out of him, the Endgame poster out of the mouse.
Yeah. And there was a joke that I heard that like basically all the other alternate timelines that Doctor Strange was looking at was the rat stepping on the buttons in different combinations and not being able to start up the van. And I thought that was pretty funny. That was good.
Yeah. Well, wife thought it was Loki.
That Loki was the rat. I don't think we can go that far to assume that Loki's a rat.
It was a good joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, he pressed the right button and he just Scott Lang shit out at the quantum realm.
Right. And so he brings this technology, and he's been thinking about it the whole time after he realizes what happens. He's like, oh my God, like I lost people, but I still have my daughter. Like, sure, he could live out his whole life with his daughter and be happy or whatever, but he's a hero. He wants to save people. So he takes that technology to Black Widow and Cap and is basically like, hey,
I've been here for 5 hours, but it's been 5 years. Yeah.
He basically explains how time works, and if they could use that as like a tunnel to get to places. And good line from Black Widow. I get emails from a raccoon. Nothing sounds crazy to me.
But I just like how they were like having discussion about time travel.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, War Machine was like, hey, let's go back in time and kill a baby Thanos.
Right. And that's not quite how time travel works.
But that was just hilarious. It's like, and he was explaining everything to Tony Stark. And it's like, wait, it sounds like Back to the Future. Are you
really making Back to the Future references?
It was like, no. Well, yeah.
Here's something that I was asking myself. Whenever they were having a little council there, and Captain Marvel was off on whatever planet she was on, Rhodey was looking for Ronan, and Rocket was off wherever he was. Okoye was still in Wakanda. What exactly did Captain Marvel have to do? She's like, the same thing is happening everywhere else that's happening on Earth. But what exactly was happening on Earth?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, she's been out of touch since the 90s. Pretty much.
Well, I mean, yeah, but she goes back off. She leaves and she goes back off to basically deal with coping mourning planets. I don't know, because there's not really anything happening on Earth aside from the whole earthquake Okoye says.
Or this could relate to Guardians of the Galaxy too, the Golden People. That.
I don't think it has anything to do with them just yet. I think my theory is that now we don't have any Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
So there are other cosmic threats who feel like they now have their chance to do a little bit of evil without having the power, the Infinity Stones thrown in their face and saying, hey, stop this. Like, you're not powerful at all.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I was thinking about, what was it, Warlock?
Adam Warlock?
Yeah.
He's still in his cocoon as far as we know.
Because, who knows? Maybe he got out of his cocoon.
But also maybe he got snapped away.
Yeah. Oh, that too. Yeah. For that. Yeah.
But Adam Warlock plays such a huge part in the Infinity War comics.
Yeah.
That if he was out of his cocoon, he would have been in this.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, because he's the one who defeats Thanos. You know, he's like the guy in Infinity War.
That's true.
The comics, at least.
I totally forgot about the comics.
Yeah. So if he was alive, he would have been in this. He would have been in this story.
Yeah. But referring back to that briefing room.
Yeah, referring back to that briefing, what did I'm having trouble knowing exactly what Captain Marvel had to do and why it took her so long, because Thanos was on Earth.
Yeah.
He was on Earth, and she took, well, let's give it a couple of hours.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Fun fact. Yeah, I think I count the runtime of her appearing in the movie. 13 minutes.
13 minutes after the snap?
That's why I counted from her character being in the movie. So it's like,
oh, how long she was actually in the movie? 13 minutes?
I counted 13. I might be wrong, but it was...
I'm sure it's probably somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's just...
She wasn't in there very long, which is fine. It's an Avengers movie, and she is not an Avenger.
Yeah.
No matter what you guys say, she's not an Avenger yet. I'm sure she will become an Avenger, but she's not an Avenger.
She's a lone wolf.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's the right word. Yeah, she is a lone wolf.
She pretty much is a lone wolf.
But all right, so then after that briefing room, did they return to Tony? Not return, but they went to Tony Stark's.
Right. But something I want to talk about before we leave the briefing room is the earthquake under the ocean.
Yes, my favorite part.
So Okoye says it's just an earthquake under the ocean, but Black Widow was right, and it basically was. So it's hinting towards a storyline that interferes with Wakanda and the Black Panther and introducing Atlantis.
Yes.
And
don't be confused with Aquaman. Don't be confused.
Yeah, we're not talking about DC.
We're talking about Namor.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Basically the Aquaman of the MCU.
Yeah.
And how he is possibly going to be introduced in Black Panther 2. Because honestly, I'm not too sure where that Black Panther storyline is going to go. But yeah, okay, now moving on to Tony Stark.
Favorite scene of all time, because he's just relaxing, enjoying his time at his lake house with Pepper and his 5-year-old daughter. Morgan Stark.
Yeah. Well, what we assume is 5. She's probably younger.
Yeah. Maybe 5 or 4. I say 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just, it was a nice scene, especially when you see that car coming in. And it's like, oh, no. To Captain America.
Something I'm gonna look up here is, so Morgan Stark. What I don't think, yeah. So Morgan Stark was not originally Tony's daughter. Here, let me read this. Morgan Stark is a fictional character appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics. So Morgan Stark is a man, is the son of Edward Stark, nephew of Howard Stark and Maria Stark, and the cousin of Tony Stark. And basically is evil. So Tony has an evil cousin named Morgan Stark.
Oh.
Now, is this going to happen? Probably not. Maybe
the next phase 3.
You mean phase 4?
I mean, not for 20 years later to go.
Phase 5? It's possible.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make is that Morgan Stark was never Tony's daughter in the comics. Tony's evil cousin. And we can move on from that.
Yeah. But anyway, so...
And around this time is when Paul Rudd introduces time travel, the idea to Tony.
Yep. So they were talking about talking about the time travel, but with Tony Stark, he doesn't want to get involved at all of this project. He wants to leave everything as it is right now, and because he had a relationship with Morgan Stark, and he doesn't want to lose that, and he's trying to recuperate with Pepper.
You're right.
So
and I think the reason he denied wanting to time travel was never because he wanted to keep what he has now. I think it was because that the chances were so small. Mm-hmm. The chances were so horribly small that they were even going to survive. They would be stuck in the quantum realm forever, and he never saw a way getting out.
Yeah.
But he's also never thought about it.
Yeah.
He never thought about it more until that night. Yeah. I don't think it was ever a matter of him losing what he already had.
Yeah.
Because he understands how time travel works, and we can go ahead and breaking down time travel in the MCU, and then we'll move on from there.
Yeah.
And this is where it starts to break down time travel and how it works compared to other movies. Mm-hmm. And I think time travel in this movie was done so much better than any other time travel movie I think I've ever seen. Yeah, get at me, Back to the Future. Great films, but time travel works great in this.
That'll be a different debate for another video. Anyway.
What, that this is not, this I think this is the best portrayal of time travel.
Well, I wouldn't say time travel. I would say more like a multiverse split on.
But it never becomes a multiverse split until later, and it's not even called like a multiverse. It's just alternate realities.
Oh yeah, there we go. Alternate realities, you know. So
and I think it's still time travel because they enter at one point and then return to. So it's hard to explain, and they do go back in time.
Yeah, they do go back in time.
But basically, the actions that they perform in the past. So the future. The present selves. So if we were to go back to the future, or back to the future, whatever. If we went back to the past, right? And then we took the time stone.
Mm-hmm.
Then that would never affect our future. That would never affect our timeline and the lives that we had lived before we went to the past.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It only splits off into an alternate reality, creating like an alternate path for our lives to go.
Yeah.
So now us in that timeline, our past selves in that timeline after we take the time stone
mm-hmm.
is now split off into totally something else.
Yeah.
Because the way they explain time travel is the events that get you to where you are in present day have to happen. And there's no way of getting around that. And they're right. Because if they went back in time and changed anything, then they would never have time traveled there in the first place, thus making them basically like non-existent in that timeline, I guess. They would have never went there, which means crazy stuff would have happened, and when it affected them, they probably would have died, something crazy like that, and they basically would have never been in the past to undo it in the first place, making time travel not real.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why time travel isn't real, is because we think about it differently.
Oh yeah, and you know, to the people who watch Endgame, and if you're stating that it's a lazy way to fix problems, it's not, because if you think about, I have some issues about time traveling, but it's not a lazy way to fix.
This was the furthest thing from a lazy way to fix it, and there's a lot I want to say about that, because basically they swapped out one problem with another.
Yeah.
And I will get into that later, because I am so excited to talk about what is going to happen after Endgame, now that we know everything.
Yeah.
And while they didn't hint towards anyone, there are two possibilities that's going to happen for the MCU.
Yeah.
All because they went back in time and time traveled.
Yep.
They created more problems that they didn't think of.
Yeah.
But they saved the universe, yes. But they created more problems for themselves. They just don't know it yet. And it all starts with Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Yes. And just remember, guys, it's a movie. You can rewrite the words about time travel. It's a fantasy, but
it's a movie. Let it be a movie.
Yeah. So never stating that it's a lazy way to end the movie or have a good ending. But they never had a good end. Well, they did have a good ending, but it's a remorse ending.
And here's one thing: if you do think it's a lazy way to end, to tie up this whole story, think about it like this: they shot Infinity War and Endgame at the same time, right after one another. So before Infinity War was even out, the scenes for Endgame had been shot.
Yes.
Right. So they had this whole storyline written, because I was actually reading something on how Thor knew his character arc for Endgame and Fat Thor, as he was tying up scenes from Thor Ragnarok. So he was so in love with the idea of Thor being fat, because he Waititi had just introduced him to this comical Thor, and he loved it.
Yes.
He absolutely loved it.
Yes. Yeah, so moving on.
It's not a lazy way.
It's not
Time
lazy
travel
way.
is totally different. It, instead of changing the past and changing the future based off of that, you basically create alternate timelines. Moving on from that.
Everybody has a different theory. Move on.
So now assembling the team. I would love to see more of Ronan, or Hawkeye's new character in Endgame, because he's such a dark character.
Yes.
And he was doing crazy stuff in Japan. Like, he was absolutely murdering everyone.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really cool, but I think Jeremy Renner is he's getting old. He is going to have a show, but it focuses on him and his daughter. I think it's post Endgame. It had to be post Endgame.
Yeah.
Focuses on him and his daughter and him passing off the title of Hawkeye to his daughter.
Yeah, who knows? They probably have some flashbacks while he did during those 5 years.
He might, yeah.
Because he was wearing the mask the whole time, so he doesn't have to show.
And technically, he's still Ronin.
Yeah.
So we might see some more Ronin in the future.
So it's easy to fix around that.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah. And also, this is my favorite part. Seeing Meek and Korg.
Yes.
And Fat Thor. Oh my gosh, the fan service there. Two wonderful characters. Valkyrie was there, and she did some work in that big battle. She wasn't a super important character.
Oh, she was great.
But she was in there, and I love her. She's awesome. But Korg and Meek, man, oh my gosh.
Hey Thor, they're talking trash about us in this game.
Noob Master 69.
You listen here, kid.
I will come to your basement, rip off your arms, and shove them in your butt.
Oh, now you're crying. Well, cry to your mother.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good. And
oh shit.
So I heard a lot of complaints about Fat Thor, actually.
Yeah.
But again, you got to look at it like realistically. How would people cope?
Yeah.
He killed Thanos, and
Yeah.
he felt incomplete. He felt like he'd still failed.
Mm.
So what did he do? He was in a state of depression. He drank himself to death, pretty much.
Eat pizza.
Yeah, he ate pizza, drank himself to death, and played video games. He didn't do anything productive because you don't do anything productive when you're in that kind of a state.
Yeah.
So Fat Thor was actually like a pretty accurate representation of what probably would have actually happened to people in this post decimation, post snap.
It was unexpected to viewers to see Fat Thor.
Yeah, it was very unexpected.
It was hilarious.
Yeah,
you know? Especially
it was pretty cool.
Especially him like bending down. It's like, oh yeah, you know what?
Yeah,
Get another beer.
And then we get to like the actual whole time travel aspect of it, and the Battle of New York.
Yes.
So when we get to the Battle of New York, there's not a whole lot I really want to talk about here because it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But this is kind of where we figure out, okay, so changing the past, the Ancient One tells us, splits off to different paths.
Yes.
It does not change the past and change the future. It splits off to different realities. And I think that the events in this also play. See, and this is where it gets fuzzy.
Yeah.
This is where it gets really fuzzy because did the Ancient One in Doctor Strange know that he's supposed to give away the Time Stone?
Yeah. It's like,
because the future doesn't change the past.
Yeah. So, but she did say that,
Or the past doesn't change the future, whatever.
but she did say that Doctor Strange is
The best of us.
the best of us. So she took a big chance to give that stone.
Right. And I think that like she knew that Strange was always supposed to be the best of them because it's some kind of a prophecy or something.
Yeah.
So this is where I think it ties up the whole like, oh well, why would she choose him if she knew Strange was going to give away the stone? And she didn't. She did not in Doctor Strange. That's a whole other different timeline. And whatever happened in this movie has nothing to do with the movies in the past.
Yeah.
They don't change the movies in the past. They don't change the events in the past.
No, but it was just, people were confused, but when you think about it a little more, you got to take a big risk to get a big reward. So that's what she did. Like, she tried to talk to Hulk. It's like, where is your science in this? And it's like, well, Doctor Strange told me.
He's like, it doesn't necessarily. And it's funny because Banner actually tells her off and was like, I don't think it works like you think it does because we can return the stones to the exact time and where they were taken. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
And later on, Cap goes through and does that. Speaking of Cap, America's ass.
Yes.
He has this really funny fight with himself where they're just duking it out, and he says, "Oh, I can do this. I can do this all day," which is a funny look back to the first Avenger. Moving on from America's ass.
It's like, I hear it all the time.
Where did Loki take the Power Stone? Not the Power Stone, the Space Stone.
Yeah, Space Stone.
Where did he take that?
To Disney Plus on his new show.
And honestly, I think that's exactly what's going to happen because he did not come back to life, as far as I know, and as far as everyone has said, and the Russo brothers after they said Loki is dead, they said Loki is dead in Infinity War, and we did not see him in this. We saw past Loki, but we did not see any kind of resurrected Loki.
Yeah.
So I think he is dead. I really do. But I do think that his storyline is going to be about him taking the Space Stone, and probably going out and changing and causing ruckus, mayhem. Who knows?
And become a rat and save Scott Lang.
Yeah, you become a rat and save Scott Lang. So, I think possibly the Disney Plus show is going to touch on, what's going to happen to him.
Yeah, I'm just excited.
And I'll let you take this next one away. It's about Carter references in 1970.
Yeah.
After they lose the Space Stone, they go back and they find it.
They found like in a military base somewhere.
New Jersey, where Captain America was created. So.
Yeah, or say born. And the signs say where Captain America is born.
Well, yeah. Well, the idea of Captain America. He wasn't actually born there.
Yeah. So speaking of Steve Rogers, a.k.a. Captain America, so he went inside the facility, and he's trying to avoid security guards, of course. So what he did was he hid into an office, but he didn't realize it was Agent Carter's office.
Yeah.
But if you watch it multiple times like I did, you see Carter coming in another room,
the back office or whatever.
Yeah, and when she was mentioning, she mentioned a name. Let me get this right.
I think she says I was
Braddock?
reading it. Braddock.
Braddock. Yeah.
She says Braddock hasn't checked in for a while.
Yeah, and that's a reference to Captain Britain,
or possibly Captain Britain. It might not be Captain Britain, but it's a good possibility.
I will say Captain Britain, since I got one theory right in my belt.
And we probably won't ever see him in the MCU.
No.
But it was a cool reference.
Yeah, who knows? It might be a Disney Plus show.
It may be. Yeah. It may be. I think that finally they're done doing things in the past after the Black Widow movie. I think they're going to focus more on the future and what's going to happen in the future. I don't think that they're going to linger in the past too much anymore.
Yeah, but it was a nice Easter egg. You know, MC, especially these films, they're famous for the Easter eggs.
Right,
you know, so it was a nice touche to Captain Britain.
and the last thing that I think we're gonna get to today, because we have actually been recording for a little while now, is Vormir.
Yes.
And then we're gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna talk about the It trailer. I'm gonna let you guys know right now, actually, before we talk about Vormir. If you guys haven't seen it yet, the It trailer dropped literally minutes before we started this episode, and we're gonna talk about it later on because I absolutely love It.
Oh,
it is one of my favorite Stephen King books. But back to Vormir.
Yes.
So we see Nebula, Rhodey, Black Widow, and Ronan all go off to Morag and Vormir. Morag, very straightforward. They see, Chris Pratt doing his little dance from probably my favorite scene of all time from any Guardians movie, where he's singing and he's like kicking the rat. I just remember seeing that. I was thinking, this is going to be a phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
Like, Guardians is going to be so good.
Oh, gosh.
And a lot of people are asking, why did Nebula send Black Widow and Hawkeye to Vormir? Well, that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Because she didn't know of the consequences. Mm-hmm. She knew that the stone was located on Vormir, and so did Nebula. But even Nebula got there, and she had no idea of the consequences that they had to face.
Yes.
So it didn't make any sense for them to, send, like it was just by chance.
Yeah, she knew Gamora died, but she doesn't know how she died.
And she didn't know that you had to sacrifice a loved one for the stone.
And that part of the scene with Ronan and Black Widow, I have it was a cringe. It's just like
what on Vormir? You thought it was cringy?
Yeah, because
I didn't think it was cringy.
No, it's like I don't think Black Widow should have died.
Well, I don't think Ronan should have died.
I think he should have died. Of those 5 years he did,
it would have. Okay, so it would have been way more sad.
Yeah.
Right. But I think they really caught us off guard with Black Widow's death. My cousin actually brought up, I thought the both of them were gonna try to Shanghai the Red Skull and toss him down there. But also the Red Skull levitates, so that wouldn't have worked out very well.
Yeah.
No, I think Black Widow was a good choice. I think her time has come to an end. She's been in it since Iron Man 2. Jeremy Renner has only been in it since the Avengers.
Yeah, but
and it sucks. It really does. I was pretty sad after Black Widow's death. Like that really does suck. But
it's not that. It's just they kill off Black Widow.
Yeah.
What's the point of the Black Widow movie? Yeah, they go talk about the Budapest.
It's a prequel.
Yeah, I know, but I know they're probably going to talk about Budapest because they always talk about. This reminds me of the Budapest battle.
Well, I don't know if it's exactly that. I'm actually going to look that up real quick.
Because they mention about Budapest not so many times, but a couple of times in the past of movies.
Yeah. It's a what is it? It's a long road from.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna feel like an idiot because it probably has nothing to do with. It's a long road from Budapest. Here we go.
I don't know. It's just they're making a prequel to Black Widow, but what's the point of watching that prequel? They probably had to talk maybe a character development. Who knows?
Well, I mean, it shows based like what she had to go through before. It's her spy days.
Yeah,
it's her spy days. I don't think they'll talk about Budapest because I don't think it's gonna be like a Jeremy Renner, Scarlett Johansson film because he's busy doing the show.
Yeah,
I think it's just going to be her. I think it's going to be before she got her job at SHIELD, and the end of the movie is going to be her getting her job with SHIELD.
Yeah. Well, but it was an interesting take when they were talking about like the son of blah blah blah, and when they talk about Black Widow's father,
she didn't know her father.
She didn't know,
and she didn't.
Yeah.
She really didn't. She went through horrible things whenever she was a spy and raised to be a spy like that, and an assassin and all that crazy stuff.
And that was a cool moment. That right there, that was a cool moment.
Yeah,
she like literally didn't know, but her being killed off, I was pissed.
The death we did not see coming.
And especially when he went back to the present time, it's like, oh, where's Black Widow? Where's Natasha? And it's like,
I thought it was good. I thought it was a good death. I thought it was fine. I thought it was just fine. I think Hawkeye never got the appreciation he deserves, and now he's got a chance to get that appreciation. He did a lot. He's done so much in this movie, and I absolutely love him. He like defends the gauntlet pretty much.
Should have been Captain Marvel.
Yeah, it should have been Captain Marvel. So anyways, tying up on Vormir. So we are going to end this here because we have actually been going at this for a little while now. We still have quite a bit left. Mm-hmm. Next time around here in part 2, we're going to talk about Asgard, building a gauntlet, the big battle at the end, and the heartbreaking events that happen afterwards. Don't give anything away.
Wakanda forever.
Okay, that's not exactly what I was talking about, but and then I touch on a little bit on what is going to happen after the MCU. Mm-hmm. Now that we know for sure or what has happened in Endgame, and what that means for the future. So thank you guys for joining us. Anything you want to say before we hop off here?
Oh, we're not going to talk about Ed trailer, right? That'll be later.
No, just go check it out. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it next episode. Yeah. So enjoy our video. See you next time.